The night of my engagement party was supposed to be perfect. Strings of lights glowed across the garden, soft music floated in the background, and the clinking of glasses filled the air as guests mingled. Nathan, my fiancé, held my hand tightly, his thumb brushing against mine as if reassuring me that this moment was ours, forever. "Everything looks beautiful, Isabella," Lena whispered as she adjusted the hem of her champagne-colored dress. "This night is going to be unforgettable." I smiled, scanning the faces of my friends and family. Claudia, my mother, stood near the buffet table, her smile polite but tense. She had been nervous all day, and though she tried to hide it, I could see the way her fingers twisted her necklace whenever she thought no one was watching. My father, Harold, on the other hand, was the picture of calm, shaking hands and making jokes with Nathan's relatives, like he had been waiting for this celebration his whole life. Everything seemed normal, until I noticed Uncle Gerald. He was seated near the edge of the crowd, nursing a glass of whiskey, his eyes sharper than usual. Gerald was known in the family for speaking his mind, sometimes too freely. But tonight there was something different about him. He wasn't smiling, wasn't laughing. Instead, he kept glancing at me, then at my parents, as though he were carrying a weight only he understood. Nathan leaned in, whispering in my ear, "You okay? You've gone quiet." "I'm fine," I said quickly, forcing a smile. Just overwhelmed. But deep inside, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was building, like a storm waiting to break. Finally, after dinner, my father tapped his glass to call for attention. He gave a warm toast about love, family, and how proud he was of me. Laughter and applause followed, and for a moment, my chest swelled with happiness. Then Uncle Gerald stood up. He raised his glass, his voice steady but heavy with emotion. "To Isabella and Nathan," he began, "a future built on love and truth." His eyes locked onto mine. "But before we all raise our glasses, there's something this family deserves to know. A truth that's been buried for far too long." The crowd fell silent. My heart pounded. And in that instant, I knew my engagement party would never be remembered for the joy of the night, but for what Uncle Gerald was about to reveal. The air seemed to thicken as Uncle Gerald's words echoed across the garden. Every clink of silverware stopped. Every whispered conversation froze. Even the soft background music suddenly felt out of place, like it had no right to exist in the silence that followed. "Gerald," Claudia said sharply, her voice cutting through the stillness. "This is neither the time nor the place." But Gerald didn't flinch. He lifted his glass higher, his eyes blazing with something between anger and sorrow. "If not now, then when, Claudia? Isabella deserves to know who she really is before she walks into a marriage built on lies." The words slammed into me like a physical blow. Who I really am. My mind spun, desperately trying to make sense of what he meant. Nathan squeezed my hand tighter, whispering, "Stay calm," but his voice was trembling too. My father, Harold, stood abruptly, his face red with fury. "Enough, Gerald. Sit down before you embarrass yourself further." But Gerald shook his head slowly. "No, Harold. I've kept your secret long enough. I was there the night it happened, and I won't let Isabella walk blindly into the rest of her life without knowing the truth about where she came from." Gasps rippled through the crowd. My knees weakened, and Lena quickly steadied me by the arm. "What is he talking about?" she whispered, her eyes wide with shock. My mother's face had gone pale, her hand gripping the edge of the table as if it were the only thing keeping her upright. "Gerald, please," she begged, her voice breaking. "Don't do this." "Not here," I stepped forward, my voice shaking but loud enough to cut through the tension. "Stop speaking around me. If there's something I need to know, then say it." Right now, Uncle Gerald lowered his glass, his gaze locking on mine. His lips parted, and for a heartbeat, I could see the weight of years pressing down on him. "You were never meant to be their daughter, Isabella," he said softly but firmly. "Claudia and Harold, they're not your real parents." The crowd erupted, gasps, murmurs, disbelief. My chest tightened as the ground beneath me seemed to tilt, threatening to swallow me whole. Nathan whispered, "Oh my God." But I couldn't hear anything else, because in that moment, my entire world shattered. The murmurs grew louder, spreading through the guests like wildfire. Faces I had known my entire life suddenly blurred into a mass of shock, pity, and confusion. My heart hammered in my chest as I stared at Claudia and Harold, desperate for them to deny it, to tell me Gerald was drunk or bitter or cruel. But they said nothing. "Mom?" My voice cracked as I turned toward Claudia. "Dad? Tell me this isn't true." Claudia's lips trembled, but she couldn't meet my eyes. Harold clenched his jaw, his fists tightening at his sides, but still he said nothing. "Say something," my voice rose, sharper now, echoing in the heavy silence. Lena squeezed my arm, whispering, "Isabella, maybe we should step away." "No," I snapped, though not at her. My hands were trembling, my whole body trembling, but I stood my ground. "If you've been lying to me my whole life, then I deserve the truth. Right now, not tomorrow, not after the party." Now Claudia finally looked at me, her eyes glossy with tears. "Sweetheart, please. Let's talk about this privately." "Privately?" My laugh came out harsh, bitter. "You've kept this from me for 24 years, and now you want to hide it again? In front of everyone?" Uncle Gerald placed his glass down, his voice steady. "She deserves to hear it, Claudia. Hiding won't protect her anymore." Nathan stepped in beside me, his arm protectively wrapping around my shoulders. "If this is true, then you owe Isabella an explanation." The garden, once full of music and laughter, had become a stage for a family unraveling. Guests shifted uncomfortably, some whispering, others staring openly, captivated by the drama. Harold finally broke his silence, his voice low but firm. "This isn't the time, Isabella." "We'll explain later, no," I said again, my throat tight. Later isn't good enough. Claudia's tears spilled down her cheeks, and she whispered so softly I almost missed it. "We wanted to protect you." The words chilled me. Protect me from what? My breath caught, and I felt my world teetering on the edge of something darker, something I wasn't sure I wanted to hear, but it was too late to turn back now. The word protect echoed in my ears like a curse. My chest tightened as I stared at Claudia, who now looked smaller, fragile even, though she had always been the strongest woman I knew. "Protect me from what?" I demanded, my voice trembling but sharp. "From the truth?" Claudia's sobs broke through the hush of the garden. She covered her mouth with her hands, as if trying to stop the words from escaping. Harold put an arm around her shoulders, but she shook him off. Finally, she lifted her tear-streaked face and met my gaze. "You weren't born to us, Isabella," she whispered. We adopted you when you were just a baby." The crowd gasped again. A wave of whispers swelling around us. My knees threatened to give out. Adopted. The word didn't feel real, like it belonged in someone else's story, not mine. "You should have told her years ago," Uncle Gerald said coldly, glaring at them both. "She had the right to know." Harold's voice rose, laced with frustration. "We were trying to give her a normal life, Gerald. She was ours from the moment we held her. Biology doesn't matter, love does." I shook my head, tears stinging my eyes. "Then why didn't you trust me enough to tell me? Why let me live a lie?" Claudia stepped forward, her hands trembling as she reached for mine. "Because the circumstances weren't simple. You weren't abandoned, Isabella. You were taken in under desperate conditions. We thought we were saving you," the words twisted into my chest like a blade. "Desperate conditions?" I repeated. "What does that even mean?" Lena's hand tightened on my arm, steadying me. Nathan, silent until now, asked firmly, "So who are her real parents?" Claudia hesitated, her lips pressing together. Harold's jaw clenched so tightly I could hear his teeth grind. Neither answered. Uncle Gerald exhaled heavily, shaking his head. "You see, they can't say it, because the truth is worse than you imagine." The silence that followed was suffocating. My breath came in shallow bursts, my heart pounding like it wanted to escape my chest. "Tell me everything," I said at last, my voice raw. "No more hiding. No more secrets. I want the whole truth, right here, right now." And with the eyes of everyone fixed on us, Claudia finally nodded, bracing herself for a confession that would change my life forever. Claudia's hands shook as she clasped them together as though holding herself steady against the weight of her own words. The crowd was silent, caught in a collective breath, waiting for her to break it. "You weren't abandoned," she began softly, her voice cracking. "Your birth mother, she loved you, but she couldn't keep you. She was young, terrified, and in danger. We stepped in because we thought it was the only way to keep you safe." "In danger?" I repeated, my throat dry. "What kind of danger?" Harold's face hardened, his voice cutting through. "This is going too far, Claudia. She doesn't need to know everything tonight." "Yes, she does," Claudia snapped, surprising everyone. Her tears burned down her cheeks, but her voice grew stronger. "She deserves to know the truth." Nathan rubbed my back gently, whispering, "Breathe, Isabella," but I couldn't. My lungs felt tight, my heart clawing against my ribs. "Who was she?" I pressed, each word trembling. "Who was my real mother?" Claudia hesitated, her eyes flickering with a storm of emotions, guilt, fear, grief. Finally, she said it. Her name was Evelyn. The name rang in my ears, foreign yet hauntingly familiar, as if I had heard it in a dream I could never remember. "She was my cousin," Claudia continued, her shoulders sagging under the weight of the confession. "Evelyn came to us desperate for help. She said someone was after her, that she couldn't protect you on her own. She begged us to raise you as our own, to keep you hidden, safe. We agreed because we loved her, and because we knew you didn't deserve the life she was running from." A hush spread over the crowd, thick with disbelief and curiosity. I could feel every gaze piercing me, waiting for my reaction. "So all these years," I whispered, my voice breaking, "you've been lying to me, pretending to be my parents while my real mother was out there somewhere." Claudia's tears spilled freely now. "We never wanted to lie. We thought we were protecting you. Evelyn, she disappeared after she left you with us. We never heard from her again," Uncle Gerald muttered, almost to himself. "Until now." My head snapped toward him. "What do you mean?" His eyes were grave. "Isabella, Evelyn isn't gone. She's closer than you think." The weight of Uncle Gerald's words hit me like a thunderclap. My pulse roared in my ears, and for a moment, the entire garden blurred. The lights, the faces, even Nathan's steady grip on my shoulder. "What do you mean she's closer than I think?" I asked, my voice raw. Gerald's gaze flicked to Claudia and Harold, whose expressions hardened into a mask of silent panic. "They know," Gerald said firmly. "They've known for weeks. Evelyn has been trying to reach you, Isabella. She's alive, and she's here." A ripple of gasps rolled through the guests. My heart nearly stopped. "Here?" Gerald nodded, his jaw tight. "She contacted me first, begging me to help her make this right. She said she wanted to see you before it was too late. But your parents," he glared at Claudia and Harold, "they refused. They wanted to bury the truth all over again." My breath caught, the world spinning. "You knew?" I turned on Claudia and Harold, my voice trembling with fury. "She's alive, and you kept her from me?" Claudia's tears poured faster as she reached toward me. "We were trying to protect you, Isabella. You don't understand, Evelyn. She's not safe. Being near her could put you in danger." "In danger from who?" My voice cracked, nearly breaking. "What aren't you telling me?" Harold finally snapped, his voice sharp as a blade. "She is unstable, Isabella. She dragged you into this world of chaos the moment she gave birth to you. We saved you from her. That's the truth." But Gerald's eyes burned with conviction. "No, Harold. That's the story you tell yourself to ease your guilt. Evelyn made mistakes, yes, but she never stopped loving Isabella. She risked everything to make sure she survived. And now, after years in the shadows, she wants her daughter back." The guests sat frozen, trapped between disbelief and fascination. Lena gripped my arm tighter, whispering, "This can't be happening." I felt like the ground had split beneath me. My parents weren't my parents. My mother was alive, and she wanted to see me. "Where is she?" I whispered, barely able to breathe. "Where is Evelyn right now?" Uncle Gerald's eyes softened as he answered, "She's waiting for you, Isabella. Just outside those gates." The words hung in the night air like smoke, choking me with their weight. "She's waiting outside those gates." For a moment, I couldn't move. My eyes darted toward the garden entrance, the wrought iron gates faintly visible under the glow of the lanterns. Beyond them, the darkness stretched, holding its secrets. Was she really out there? The woman whose blood ran through my veins? The one I had dreamed about without knowing it? Claudia's voice broke through my thoughts, desperate and trembling. "Isabella, please. Don't go to her. You don't understand what you're inviting into your life." I spun toward her, anger sparking in my chest. How could you keep her from me? How could you lie to me all these years, and now, when she's right there, you want me to pretend she doesn't exist? Harold stepped in, his voice thunderous. "Because we know her. We know the chaos she brings. She abandoned you to protect herself, not you. Don't let Gerald romanticize her mistakes." Uncle Gerald shot him a glare. "That's not true, and you know it. Evelyn gave Isabella up because she was being hunted. She sacrificed everything to give her a chance at life. That is not abandonment. It's love." My heart twisted, torn between the voices fighting over me. Nathan squeezed my hand, grounding me. His eyes searched mine, gentle but firm. "What do you want to do, Isabella? Forget what everyone else is saying. What do you want?" I turned my gaze toward the gates again. My pulse quickened, my legs aching to move, though fear gripped them still. "I want answers," I whispered, barely audible. "I need to see her." Claudia's sobs grew louder. She rushed forward, clutching my arm. "If you walk out there, everything we've built will crumble. We are your family, Isabella. We raised you. We loved you. Don't throw that away for a stranger's face." Her words pierced me, but Uncle Gerald's voice steadied me. "She's not a stranger. She's her mother." The garden guests leaned forward, breathless with anticipation. Some whispered, others openly stared, their curiosity feeding the fire of my panic. I closed my eyes, trying to silence the storm in my chest, and when I opened them again, I knew what I had to do. I pulled free from Claudia's grip and stepped toward the gates. Each step toward the gates felt heavier than the last, as if the ground itself was trying to hold me back. My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear the murmurs of the guests behind me. Nathan stayed close, his hand brushing against mine, a silent promise that I wasn't alone. The wrought iron gates loomed larger as I approached. Lanterns flickered faintly, casting shadows that stretched like fingers into the night beyond. My breath caught when I saw her. A woman stood just outside, partially hidden by the darkness. Her hair, long and dark with strands of silver, framed a face that looked both familiar and foreign at the same time. Her eyes, green, piercing, and brimming with something I couldn't name, locked on mine. "Isabella," she whispered, her voice trembling but rich with emotion. "My daughter." The word tore through me, my daughter. I froze, unable to breathe. Nathan steadied me with a gentle squeeze on my shoulder. Behind me, I could hear Claudia's broken sobs. "Don't listen to her. She'll destroy everything." But Evelyn stepped closer, her hand pressing against the gate, as if the thin metal was the only thing keeping us apart. "I never stopped loving you," she said, her voice cracking. "I thought of you every single day. I wanted to come back sooner, but it wasn't safe for either of us." Tears blurred my vision. My whole life I had wondered, even subconsciously, why I sometimes felt out of place, like there was a piece of myself I didn't understand. And now here she was, the missing piece. "Why now?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Why after all these years?" Evelyn's eyes filled with sorrow. "Because the people who wanted me gone, they found me again. And if they know about you, They won't stop until you're in danger too. I had to come before it was too late. Gasps rippled from the guests behind me. A chill crawled down my spine, heavier than before. This wasn't just a family secret, it was a threat. I tightened my grip on the gate, torn between the life I knew and the truth that stood before me. And for the first time, I realized the choice I made tonight could change everything forever. The silence around us was suffocating. Every guest had gone still, their eyes darting between me, Claudia, Harold, and the woman outside the gates. Evelyn's presence was undeniable, her voice pulling me closer, yet the warnings from my parents echoed in my head like alarms. "What danger?" I asked, my voice trembling but louder now, forcing the question into the night. "What could possibly be so terrifying that you left your daughter behind?" Evelyn's hand pressed harder against the gate, her knuckles white. "It was your father," she whispered. The crowd gasped, and I froze. My eyes flicked toward Harold instinctively. His face drained of color, but his jaw tightened like steel. "She's lying," he snapped instantly. "Isabella, don't listen to her." But Evelyn's eyes burned with a desperate truth. "Not Harold, your biological father, the man I was with before I gave you up. He was dangerous, Isabella, controlling, violent. When I tried to leave him, he swore he'd destroy me. I knew he'd never stop coming after me. Or you." My chest tightened, each word cutting deeper. "And you think he's still out there?" Evelyn nodded, her voice breaking. "He never stopped looking for me. For us. I stayed hidden all these years because it was the only way I could keep you safe. But recently," she glanced over her shoulder into the darkness. "Recently, I felt him getting closer. That's why I had to come. If he finds you, Isabella, he'll use you to break me." The garden erupted into whispers again, fear now threading through the gossip. Some guests edged closer to the exit, as if expecting danger to appear out of the shadows at any moment. Claudia's sobs turned to fury. "You had no right to come back and drag her into your nightmare. We gave her a life of safety, of love." Evelyn's voice cracked, raw and pleading. "And I am grateful for that. But she deserves to know the truth, Claudia. She deserves to know who she is and what she's up against." I felt my knees weaken, Lena's hand clutching mine to steady me. Every truth that had been revealed tonight had shattered my foundation piece by piece. And now, Evelyn's warning threatened to rip the ground from beneath me entirely, and the worst part was, I could see it in her eyes. She wasn't lying. The garden no longer felt like a celebration. It was a battlefield. My pulse thundered as Evelyn's words and Claudia's protests crashed against each other like waves. Nathan's arms stayed around me, but even his warmth couldn't steady the storm inside me. Evelyn reached through the bars of the gate, her hand trembling but steady in its intention. "Isabella, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect you to see me as your mother right away, but I beg you, don't let fear or lies decide your future." "Decide for yourself," Claudia stepped forward, her voice raw and breaking. "I raised you, Isabella. I held you when you cried. I watched you take your first steps. I loved you every day of your life. Don't let her unravel all of that in one night." Her words cut deep. She wasn't wrong. Claudia and Harold had been there for me in ways no one else had. They were my family, even if not by blood. But then Evelyn's eyes caught mine again, and in them I saw something Claudia couldn't give me. Answers. "Why now?" I asked Evelyn, my voice quiet but sharp. "Why tonight?" Her expression softened. "Because Gerald told me about your engagement. I couldn't let you start a new chapter of your life without knowing who you are, or where you came from. You deserve to know before vows tie you to a future built on half-truths." The crowd shifted uncomfortably, whispers crackling like static. My head spun as I looked between Claudia, Harold, and Evelyn, each representing a piece of me I didn't know how to reconcile. Finally, Nathan's voice broke the tension. "Isabella, no one can make this choice for you. Not me, not them. It has to be you." The weight of his words settled in my chest. My legs shook, My heart pounded, but clarity began to form through the chaos. This was my life, my truth. I stepped back from both Claudia and the gate, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. I can't make this decision tonight, but I will know the truth, every part of it. And when I do, I'll decide for myself who my family really is. Gasps echoed, but I didn't care. For the first time that night, the choice was mine.